Aviation capital of the world, Dayton, Ohio, where the Wright brothers taught the world to fly. Hundreds of thousands of people and hundreds of aircraft of all kinds from around the world are here for the greatest show in the air, the Dayton International Air Show. Hello and welcome to the greatest show in the air, the Dayton International Air Show 1990. My name is Jim Baldridge. Our special guest again this year, Mr. Robin Leach. Welcome back.
It's great to be back here, and we have some incredible aviation excitement and aviation adventures for you this year.
And we'll be calling upon the aviation expertise of Lieutenant Colonel Ed McIntyre, fighter pilot. Welcome back, sir.
Jim, a pleasure to be here, and Robin, always nice to see you.
We have some amazing airplanes to show you today. The formerly top secret, just classified F-117 stealth fighter.
And the Soviets have the MiG-29, the Cobra aircraft.
We're going to make your hair stand on end when I take a flight with the stunt pilots from the Holiday Inn team.
And thrills aplenty with the United States Army parachute team, the Golden Knights.
And how about a fixed-wing airplane that acts like a helicopter, the tilt-rotor Bell XV-15.
Plus, the heart-stopping precision and the aerial acrobatics of the United States Air Force #1 pilots, the Thunderbirds.
The greatest air show of 1990 is just ahead, the Dayton International Air Show. Stay with us.
How do professionals clear tough clogs?
Pour in the power.
New professional strength liquid Drano with 3 ingredients to power through clogs. New professional strength liquid Drano. Now you can
pour in the power.
It's not really fine if you don't have our shine.
Put on the Windex shine.
Windex with ammonia D dissolves tough grease and grime for that streak-free Windex shine.
Put on the Windex shine.
We tried this new restaurant. I had a miniature chicken.
Squab.
With a magnolia on the side.
Gardenia.
Tonight it's a sandwich and a smooth, mellow A&W cream soda. Nice centerpiece.
It's a salad.
A&W cream soda. There's just more to it.
The great thing about Reynolds Wrap is it's the one wrap you can depend on to protect your food in the freezer. Nothing works like Reynolds Wrap.
Fellas, it's taking twice as long as you said.
Because it's twice as bad.
Beyond our wildest dreams.
Even twice the heartburn's a quick fix with Tums EX. It's twice as strong and twice as fast as regular Rolaids.
More coffee? Just kidding.
Twice as strong and twice as fast as regular Rolaids. That's Tums EX.
How'd he pay you?
Welcome back to the 1990 Dayton International Air Show.
This is a year of many firsts at the Dayton International Air Show. From Russia with love, we have the MiG-29. It's extraordinary. Perestroika and glasnost comes to aviation.
And it came to Ed McIntyre, our fighter pilot, who got a chance to pilot and actually became the first American to land a MiG-29 Fulcrum fighter jet.
That I did, Jim. I had the opportunity to actually fly and do the acrobatic demonstration that we're seeing. I got a chance to fly with the head of the Mikoyan Design Bureau, Valery Manitsky, who's an excellent pilot, obviously one whom I had great trust. We didn't have an extensive cockpit checkout, certainly adequate, and what a truly remarkable aircraft to fly.
Do pilots, wherever they come from, anywhere in the world, speak the same kind of language?
As long as you've got 2 hands and you're a pilot, you can talk. Yes, sir. Our conversation in the air was limited to Valery fly, Ed fly.
Now, for the first time in Dayton, one of the first times anywhere in the United States, the MiG-29 Fulcrum. Amazing. Who would have thought, Robin, that this would be here today.
History in the making here, just as it was throughout Eastern Europe this past fall and winter. Now they're sending their planes here for us to look at them.
Glasnost comes to Dayton.
Straight up F and Immelman right off the runway onto its back. This is an F-18 size airplane with an F-15 mission.
From that aspect, it looked like the F-18 too. And yet, you know, depending on how you look at this airplane, it looks like an F-4, F-14, F-15, F-16, F-18. A little bit of everything in it.
No disrespect, you know, they do sort of borrow a cup of sugar from every house on the block.
They wouldn't.
And why not? Why not? Again, go 500 feet right up into the air there across the top. Gets down about 100 knots on the top.
Now this looks, Ed, a little slower, a little clunkier than those Top Gun machines that we are so proud of in the United States.
Well, Robin, having flown this airplane, I can tell you this thing would not necessarily have to eat anybody's dust when it comes straight in terms of handling and maneuverability. Avionics are a little different, to be sure, but it's a great handling airplane.
Actually, this airplane was meant to fight the F-16, which is our most maneuverable airplane. Yeah, isn't that true?
So it's pretty equal.
This airplane first flew in 1977, and look at this.
Oh, that's the tail slide.
The tail slide. This is not something that we choose to do. We could do this with our airplanes, but the Russians have made it part of their very dramatic air show presence.
Now, these were the fighter planes that the Russians were using in the Afghanistan war, correct, Ed?
That's right, sir. In fact, when you look on the top, you'll see little dispensers where they used to shoot the
flares
upward to get a little better dispersion for the Mujahideen who were shooting down on them.
Actually shooting Stinger missiles down from the mountaintops.
Right. But the purpose of this trip is goodwill, as you said, Jim, earlier on there, the Glasnost. And look at this great big airplane here now. Just raw power here. High angle of attack, about 25 units on the angle of attack. Just powering down the runway with its nose proudly pointing into the air.
Now, is this a demonstration of slow flying capability here, Ed?
It's actually showing the high angle of attack and power and stability all at the same time.
Jim, what in fact is the curiosity level of people at the 1990 Dayton International Air Show for a Russian jet fighter plane for the first time? I mean, is it curiosity, fascination? Are we trying to find out secrets? What is it?
I think it's all of those things, Robin, but I think the fascination aspect, you know, with Wright-Patterson Air Force Base here in the Dayton area for many, many years, until just a few years ago, Russian nationals were not even allowed to travel in this area. And then to have a Russian warplane, a fighter plane here at the Dayton International Air Show performing, it's staggering. The implications are just staggering.
And on its back now, coming back down towards the show center here, where there's two great big Tumansky engines, each putting out about 18,000 pounds of thrust each in afterburner.
Looks like an F-15 here.
Get those nice big cylindrical things, a little pull up on the nose there, and a nice aileron roll to the left. Interestingly enough, unlike a lot of American airplanes that have digitally controlled flight controls, this is a straight mechanical flight control system with hydraulic boost, something we kind of got out of in this country many years ago.
It's interesting because what you're really saying is that some of the avionics from the Soviet Union are literally 15, 20 years behind America's times, and yet in their space program they are definitely a few spacewalks ahead of the Americans.
Apparently it's one of those things, Robin, where they just choose to skin the cat a little different way. They haven't put the effort and the money into this. Look at this now, upside down, he's pushing forward on the stick, negative G's, and he says, okay, now we got enough altitude to do this, about 100 knots, and he just starts pulling back now to do the rest of a split S.
How many negative G's?
The airplane is limited to -3 negative G's, and when we did our indirect flight today, we got to -1, so he's probably about -2 pushing on the outside like that.
See, now I know that your fighter pilots, Ed, start with a breakfast of champions, and the Soviet fighter pilots start with a breakfast of caviar.
Caviar and champagne all over the place, huh? Nice, real tight turn. This airplane really was impressive. It has a 9G limit on the airplane at about 350, 360 knots right here. Real tight. Comparable turn radius to what we see with the F-16.
Just my illusion, or does it really seem to be flying a little slower than the way that the Americans do these things?
It probably looks slower only because it's a relatively big airplane in that regard.
This is slightly smaller than the F-15, bigger by far than the F-16.
That's right.
In between those two sizes. And this performance, almost all of it seems to be with afterburner on it.
That it is. And interestingly enough, you know, from... look at the smoke here now. Yeah. This is not afterburner. One of the things we tried to fix in American engines years ago was the smoking that came out of fighters, which was a telltale.
If everything goes according to plan now, Jim and Ed, we're about to see the Soviet version of a maneuver right out of what might be called Top Gun ski.
This is really impressive, Robin. One of those air show treats of all time here. Comes in about 400, 425 knots, and then showing the great agility of the airplane, just pulls right back up on the stick. Look at it. Ooh, 80 degrees nose high, instantly loses about 300 knots, and then forward.
Is there a danger he's going to pull back too far there, Ed?
No, the airplane has got a mechanical pusher. When you pull the stick back to its limiting angle of attack, which on the gauge shows 25 units, then you hear a middle bloop, clack, really, just about like that, pushes the stick forward. You can pull back through it, but you have to work at it. Very safe maneuver, very safe.
Still amazing, the MiG-29 Fulcrum here at the Dayton International Air Show coming in for the landing now.
And guys, you can see here, notice how the airplane's bobbing around just a little bit in pitch.
Yeah.
It's a fairly fast final approach here, about 160 knots, which is about 30, 40 knots faster than most American airplanes.
Proof that Glasnost is alive and well.
In the air right now at the Dayton International Air Show, one of the world's great aerobatic pilots with one of the world's strangest aerobatic acts.
They are the only father and son wing walkers in the world. They've appeared on numerous television shows and in movies, and in fact stunt doubled for both Robert Redford and Lee Majors.
But the guy who's clever enough to stay inside the airplane, Jimmy Franklin, is the guy who really is charged with steering this mystery walko through the sky so these guys can do their thing.
Well, those guys on the wings are Johnny and Tony Kazian, father and son. The big question is not are they exciting, they are a thrilling act. The big question is why would somebody do this?
These are daredevils. These people are crazy when you call it like it is.
Back in the 19-teens, wing walkers were kind of a popular thing at the barnstorming air shows, but airplanes started.
Welcome back to the Dayton International Air Show. Ed, the question here is, what happened to Robin Leach? Could he be having another adventure?
I don't know, Jim. I remember a couple years ago he disappeared with his leather jacket and took a seminal journey in a B-29.
And then there was a time he flew with the Golden Knights in their jump plane. I understand they almost managed to push him out.
And then remember last year he went with that lady, that Julie Clark person with the T-34?
That's right. And also going upside down a year or two ago with the French Connection. But you know, when he left, he did something about looking for a Holiday Inn.
I don't trust him.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Ed. Once again, I'm about to go up in the air this year with the Holiday Inn team. No, these guys fly planes, not hotels where you get great comfort. Are you going to give me a ride as if it's as comfortable as the bed at your hotels?
Absolutely, Robin. I think you'll be real pleased flying with us. We're just going to show you what it's like to fly with the formation team.
Now, Randy, you're my pilot, so you're going to take very good care of me?
Absolutely. We'll be back safe and sound.
That's good. Now, TJ, how long have your guys all been flying together?
Well, the team's been together now for about 7 years, Robin, and 5 years with Holiday Inn.
Mike, that one makes a lot of noise. Is this a noisy one, or is this as strong as a MiG-14?
No, it's very strong, but it's as strong as a MiG-29, like the one you see out here in the ramp, right?
You sure?
Yes, absolutely.
How long, Kioki, have you been with the team?
I just started with them this year. I've been flying formation aerobatics for about 6 years altogether now.
And you like these little biplanes, yes?
Very much.
First of all, I got to say thank you to Randy for bringing me safely back to terra firma. It was smooth as silk up there, Jim.
You enjoyed playing with the boys, huh?
Yeah, I enjoyed playing with the boys, but I will in the end make one confession. I do think it's more comfortable getting a good night's sleep in a Holiday Inn double-sized bed than it is doing what we were doing up there.
Okay. Ed, back to you.
Thanks, Jim and Robin. And I tell you, from those 4 airplanes with just 4 engines, how about one airplane with 8 engines? The Boeing B-52 Stratofortress. This aircraft has been the mainstay of our nuclear deterrence around the world since the mid-1950s. And on the same show line, on its smoking heels of that B-52, the McDonnell Douglas KC-10A Extender. This is the Air Force flying tanker. It's a version of the commercially seen DC-10. It can offload about 300,000 pounds of gas.
There's still more action and excitement just ahead at the 1990 Dayton International Air Show. We're going to fly high and jump low with the United States Army's Golden Knights. We're going to thrill to the aerial excitement of the U.S. Thunderbirds and the mysterious plane that you cannot see, the multi-billion-dollar Stealth. All just ahead, so stay with us. A warm welcome back to the 1990 Dayton International Air Show. We told you that this air show is one of a series of firsts that are happening here. We have an extraordinary looking plane. Some would say it was very ugly. Some people say you can't even see it. Now that requires some explanation, but it is the plane you cannot see.
Well, it's certainly the plane that radar cannot see, or virtually cannot see, the F-117A Stealth Fighter, here at the Dayton International Air Show for the first time at a commercial air show on display and flying. The stealth fighter is intended to be virtually invisible to radar. It's intended to fly at night, and at night to be virtually invisible to the human eye. And how can it do those things?
Well, the idea beside radar absorbing or energy absorbing material is to give an airplane not necessarily invisibility, but to delay the detection time of the aircraft by an enemy radar so that the lethal reaction time is so short that he's gone before they can bring fire to bear.
And the shape of the aircraft, those strange angles, play a role in that, don't they?
The strange angle. If you just look at the geometry of the Earth where airplanes fly, if this is the Earth here, it's generally about a 30-degree cone that radar sees aircraft. The F-117A is designed so that that angle is greater than 30 degrees, so radar only sees reflected energy. So it takes the angle that the radar comes into the aircraft and deflects it away from the ground site that would normally be the one that would see it.
Ed, the experts told me that it appears no different than a bird would appear as a blip on the radar screen, and one of the reasons for that is because the exhaust from the engines doesn't come out from underneath the plane, it comes out from on top of the plane.
On top of the plane. There are actually several different kinds of stealth. You have radar stealth, where you can't see it. You have acoustic, you can hear things, and they try to minimize that. And then infrared radiation, that is defining and finding a heat source somewhere out there against an otherwise cold background.
Jim, what amazed me about this is that the public here was allowed to get as close as they were to this plane, but it is still under very heavy armed guards.
This is a no-touch-em airplane. You don't get a chance to do any hands-on looking and enjoying with this airplane. And I have a question for you about the shape of this aircraft. We talked about the reasons for it, but does it make the handling of the airplane very strange?
No, Jim. In fact, the aircraft have got to the point now to where the digital flight control systems that we put in them, you could probably make a broom fly, you can make a scaffolding fly, and things like that, because you've got the right control surface, you have the right control logic to make the airplane fly.
This is not a supersonic aircraft, though.
No, this is not a supersonic airplane. This is a high subsonic airplane.
The F-117A stealth fighter, sometimes called the Nighthawk, the Black Jet, at the Dayton International Air Show.
Hey guys, from something that you can't see, here's something that you can't miss. This is the Bell Tilt Rotor Research Vehicle.
This is kind of weird, I think we could say. Yeah, this is a combination of an airplane and a helicopter. Now here we're in helicopter mode. The engines are facing, they've tilted straight up, and it's a rotor wing aircraft. The question is, why, Ed?
Well, Jim, it's designed to give you greatest versatility. Imagine if you could carry in this configuration about 8 to 12 passengers in and out of very small feeder airports to a larger facility or land downtown. Bigger than a helicopter, but smaller than a conventionally configured horizontally flying airplane.
And Robin, you'll notice the hot jet-like exhaust gases coming off those engines, Ed. Why do they look like that?
Well, Jim, these are actually jet engines powering a turbine. This is called a turboshaft engine.
Now, this looks very much like an airplane the military has considered buying for some time now, the Osprey.
Jim, this is the second in a 3-vehicle test program that had the XV-1, now the XV-15 we see here, and it's the pre-runner to the V-22 that they want to buy, a larger version of this.
Now, the XV-15 in front of the crowd now, virtually stopped, backing up, doing a little bit of a dance.
Jim, the airplane's got great speed capability. In fact, at one time it had a speed record for the rotorcraft of 346 miles an hour, but it can actually go backward or sideward about 35 miles an hour. Great versatility.
That is an amazing picture. The XV-15 experimental tilt rotor aircraft from Bell Helicopters.
The fast-paced action and excitement of the Dayton International Air Show never stops, but it's time for a moment for you to sit back and relax. And through the magic of our slow-motion cameras, we're going to give you a totally different point of view of the Dayton International Air Show and its endless sea of blue.
Nothing quite like sunshine on a Saturday. The feeling I get like a holiday. The smell of the morning dew. Being together, walking hand in hand feels good. Underneath an endless sea of blue. See the tiny place I tell you what I do? I get a running start and wave my arms and pray with all my heart that I could fly into that endless sea of blue. I awake to see myself float down again. My day of flying is over and then I see that dream in you. Tomorrow again we'll make our dreams come true. Hand in hand through an endless sea of blue. Gliding through an endless sea of blue. We can fly through an endless sea of
From the Golden Knights to the Red Knight. Robin and Ed, this is a real piece of history flown by Rick Brickard of Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Jim, this is a Lockheed T-33, an airplane that about 5,800 of them produced eventually. It became the advanced trainer for so many people who became military pilots in the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
40s. So this airplane's been flying for how long?
The predecessor to this airplane, the P-80, actually flew in January of 1944, and the trainer version, as we see it here, came out in 1949.
Now, this flies a little bit differently, doesn't it, from modern jets?
Well, Jim, it does all the same maneuvers, but yes, with those stubby, straight wings and not much thrust, it's not really all that impressive by today's standards, but a vintage airplane nonetheless.
Another piece of flying history, the Red Knight T-33 at the Dayton International Air Show.
Now here's some real nostalgia, guys. Look at this, the Wright B Flyer, the first military airplane ever contracted for.
This is a replica, not actually an antique, built by Dayton area volunteers over a 10-year period, flown here by John Morlick and Bill Sloan, who always fly this aircraft in the uniform of Signal Corps lieutenants in the pre-World War I era.
And Jim, it takes off, lands, does everything somewhere between 45 and 50 miles an hour.
You and I both have the privilege of flying in this aircraft, Ed Meckenbauer. And Robin, let me tell you, this is one of the great pleasures of the world to fly in the Wright B Flyer.
Welcome back to the 1990 Dayton International Air Show.
Whoa!
Whoa! Now that was noisy. What's going on, Jim?
It looks like we have our own private war here at the Dayton International Air Show.
Well, actually, Robin and Jim, it's only a demonstration of those skills and techniques that we, as members of the Air National Guard in Ohio, with some help from our friends from Kentucky and Alabama and the regular Air Force of New York, go out and practice on a weekly basis to hone our skills as part of their total force.
Now this is mighty close.
This is mighty close, sir, but all they're really doing is taking care of business.
As the Thunderbirds taxi out for their incredible flight, it's time to remember that at the 1990 Dayton International Air Show, there's another side to it. A side that speaks about the business of aviation. Place where some wheeling and dealing goes on, right, Jim?
The International Trade Show, this is one of the places in the world, Robin, here in Dayton, where the world aerospace industries come together and exchange information, exchange product ideas, and exchange money and products, because this is where some of the real deals in the world are made.
That's right. More than 300 companies are here showing a great variety of products and services.
The technology we see here in the United States Air and Trade Show section of this, which is what the Dayton International Air Show is wrapped around, is amazing. Some of the bleeding edge of technology on display here. Some of the computers that'll be serving us 20 and 40 years from now are here.
And a lot of things that have applications in our regular life, not just as to what goes on up in the sky with planes.
Absolutely. We in the fighter business used to seeing HUD's heads-up displays. Well, now we have here in the trade show an exhibition that shows that technology being applied to the automobile. You look through the windshield of your car and you see your speedometer and other critical functions of your car's operation.
The 21st century has arrived.
In the air, over our heads here at the Dayton International Air Show, the stars of the show, the U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds. Robin, you could feel those afterburners.
For those of you who've got stereo in your living rooms, yes, you've got these Thunderbirds right there around the television set for you.
Many of you might think you have smoke in the living room, too, with what you saw go by there.
It wasn't just left to right, that was back to front. Over the top, the boss brings the Thunderbird in a traditional diamond as upside down, number 5. A little reverse aileron roll. Take that right-hand bias out by going back to the left and exiting upside down.
Now the diamond again, going right to left.
It looks as if their wingtips are actually touching, just a few inches apart, right, Captain Ed?
That's right, sir. About 2 feet apart there, and that's their show pass. They really like to get tucked in nice and tight there. Give you a great picture.
There's a picture of the Thunderbird on the bottom side of the soloist there.
Generating all of his lift off the side of the fuselage there because the wing's in a knife-edge pass.
Ooh, look at that. Aileron roll tight, snapped around and off to the right. The other soloist here.
This, without doubt, is better than a July 4th fireworks display.
With an 8-point roll across the center of the stage here, Captain Mobile. There's number 8 and out to the left.
And now the diamond again. Still smoke on across the top. Inverted.
Now imagine, Jim, what the guys in the wings are doing. You know, for the old leader there, he's just rolling around one axis, but 2 and 3 have got to go around in a 3-dimensional revolving wheel there to stay in their excellent position.
So just like in life, the boss has the easy job, huh?
Boss got the easy job.
He don't have to watch anybody, but everybody watches him. But that's what being the leader is all about.
That's what's
on the ground and in the air.
Absolutely. You know, the Thunderbird takes its name and its legend from old Indian lore, and they always had magical power. And boy, the Thunderbirds have got that magical power when it comes to spellbounding an air show audience.
Look at that roll, roll, roll. Down the flight line.
And now look here, Jim. They're going to call smoke off, calls the boss. Good gap between the airplanes for the bon ton roulette.
Let the good times roll.
Well, the stewardess isn't serving champagne at that particular moment, I tell you.
Hey, here's another favorite. This is what the United States Air Force Thunderbirds call the Calypso Pass.
And the Navy calls this the Farvel. 1 up, 1 down the flight line here at Dayton. Smoke on now.
Straight up into the sky, going across the top about 150 knots or so.
Thunderbird's diamond.
Diamond formation.
Up and away.
Away they go.
Now the soloist, one soloist coming in from our right.
Relatively slow. Now see, he's going to do a nice dirty roll. Look how maneuverable. That's what you're showing here now. These new digital flight control systems, very maneuverable.
And yes, ladies and gentlemen, he eats his lunch after these maneuvers, not before.
The technology we see today is just fantastic. Okay, as the Thunderbirds pull up here now, we see a position change from a trail to a diamond, and as they continue the roll across the top, underneath them, here comes number 6.
It's easy to see when they do things this extraordinary, just why these guys are heralded as the #1 boys in the sky.
And now we have the 5-card loop, Robin. Thunderbirds now here. You got the leader in the left front. Number 2's flying the right wing, and you got the guy in the middle there, and then 2 guys flying wing off him. Up and across the top in the 5-card loop.
They're pulling a lot of G's here, Ed?
Well, not a whole lot here at the top. They pull about 4 G's getting into the maneuver and actually climb to about 8,000 feet and 180 knots across the top.
I guess if diamonds are a girl's best friend, then the Thunderbirds are an air show's best friend.
Absolutely. And here's one of Jim Baldridge's favorite.
I love this. This is the corkscrew climb. Look at him go straight up. With a little aileron roll.
Does the engine stall out at the end of the corkscrew?
No way, no way. Now, line abreast. This is probably one of the more difficult maneuvers that the Thunderbirds do because everybody is looking towards the leader in the center as they go up, and they split out the single ship as 4 then changed into a diamond position going stage left. Now, here's another interesting maneuver. Again, we see the F-16 going up, and there's a lot of geometry, a lot of movement in space and 3 axes for the guys out in the wing. And it looks like it might be really a difficult maneuver, which of course it is. But again, with the extraordinary capability of the F-16, they're only using 85, 86% of the thrust available. They've got a good margin here in this airplane.
This is the ultimate in precision flying.
Absolutely. Look at that beautiful delta now formation as all 6 ships plunge toward the Earth. Pretty soon they'll be pulling back and heading directly for us.
Listen to the sound. It's nice. You know, 6 great big Pratt & Whitney engines in this aircraft.
And here they come. Back up again.
Right down the show line here.
Dayton.
What a beautiful, beautiful formation. Straight up into the sky, and they split off into the diamond with the 2 solos splitting out.
They've been sneaking around behind, and there it is. Back up again in the sky.
Continuing the diamond, and this is their high show vertical bomb burst.
Beautiful. Soloist here. Pick up through that smoke, through what we just saw. I think he's going to do my favorite maneuver again. There he goes, the corkscrew climb.
And we salute the United States Air Force Thunderbirds at the Dayton International Air Show, and we'll be right back in just a moment. Stay with us.
Once again, the Dayton International Air Show, the greatest show in the air. Robin, I can't believe our hour is up.
Well, you know, when you're having so much fun, things just happen absolutely very quickly. It's been thrills, action, excitement, and adventure, and a year of definite firsts.
Have I shown you guys my MiG-29
No,
film?
all the time.
We don't want to see that again.
The only good thing about this is that we're that much closer to next year, which will no doubt be equally spectacular and unbelievable.
Woo. Special guest, Mr. Robin Leach, thanks for being with us again this year.
Great, Jim, working with you and Ed. And next year, of course, once again, it promises to be even bigger and better because at the Dayton International Air Show, they always deliver on the promise.
And Lieutenant Colonel Ed Meckenfire, fighter pilot, thanks for being with us again.
A pleasure, guys. Thanks a bunch.
And thanks to you for being part of the Dayton International Air Show from the birthplace of aviation. So long.
See you again next year, same time.
And wave my arms and pray with all my heart that I could fly into that endless sea of I awake to see myself float down again. My day of flying is over and then I see that dream in you. Tomorrow again we'll make our dreams come true.